you who are seeing this on YouTube. I am Ella, your host.
My name is Dasha. Hello, hello.
Welcome to the live event of the podcast club In Our Shoes.
As you see, the setting today is kind of weird and new. I feel very anxious.
Same.
But we're gonna kill it. We have live audience right now here today with us. Hey guys, can you clap for us? That's
beautiful.
pretty wild.
It's pretty wild. So yeah, we want to thank all you guys who watch online. You've brought us to be able to have this live podcast. We're here wrapping up our first season of In Our Shoes. It's wild.
I know. I remember we were starting and it was very, very weird because I don't know anything about equipment, and eventually for the podcast is the most important thing to have equipment. So I remember we were filming in the room in front of this room. Wow,
I know.
like crazy. And we had like not really good lighting. I mean, I love you, my team, but it was just, we were trying new things. And I felt very anxious that time because the whole thing was starting, and now I don't feel anxious about it because I'm pretty confident in you and
Same to you.
In my team, and I think we're doing something really, really special. I think I couldn't believe that during that shoot that we might finish this first season with something like that. So thank you guys.
I couldn't have even imagined it.
Support.
Yeah. I remember the time that you walked up to me and you were like, "Hey, you maybe want to start a podcast?" And I was like, "Yeah, I guess maybe, sure." And yeah, wild to see how many in we are. We're a couple.
It's just so weird that Micah still didn't have one, so I just jumped into this opportunity and
I think it's perfect.
supported.
So why a live event?
Yeah.
A couple of reasons. It just came fairly lackadaisical when we had the idea to do it, but we wanted to kind of have a nice cap at the end of the season, and it's a fun thing to kind of do after each season goes on, and also to help raise funds. We want to bring some people in, see what it's like to actually be in the room when it's happening. Yeah, because today we tried to provide you good food, comfortable space. But we still want to say not just thank you to our team, but pay for work, because that's why we were on strike for a long time, because our work is deserved to be paid and compensated. Yes, absolutely. So, and also we have a lot of transportation issues after like other rent and stuff. So yes, please, we would appreciate any donations you can see QR code maybe right now on screen and on your tables. If you are watching online, link will be down in the description below. Also, there are no small donations. You can just help with sharing. We would really, really appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so we're going to explain how the event is going to go today. We have a couple of guests. We have two of our beloved teachers are coming on to speak with us today. And then we also have some of the heads, some of the official members of the podcast club coming on after that as well. So yeah, by the end of this podcast, we're going to talk how we started and how we came here. Yeah, and how we got here today. Yeah. Absolutely. Also questions. Yes. We talked about questions that you might want to ask us. Usually it's like our tradition in every episode, at the end or at the beginning, we're answering some questions. So if you have like anything about film industry, something personal, you can totally write it down and put in your jars. If you're watching right now us online, well, thank you so much for this. And also you can follow our Instagram and ask questions there. Yeah. We love answering questions. Love answering questions. Love to talk. That's why we created a podcast. Absolutely. Do you want to invite our first guest? Yeah, I'm ready to invite our first guest on. Can we get maybe, I don't know, a drum roll? I don't know. Okay, so our first guest, he is an award-winning film and theater director who spans film, theater, and opera. He most recently directed the feature film Hamlet, Russia, thank you, MDB. And welcome our, with Ella, first acting for film teacher, Paula Warner!
Oh, you brought water.
Oh, come on, of course. Absolutely. Your water's right there for you, my friend. How are you?
Now you're directing me.
I know! It's all flipped around.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah, let's give a little bit of context as to how we know you. Paul. Are you looking at this little lamb that I have here?
Uh,
It's in one of our past episodes. I was holding a skeleton, so
Okay.
now it's become a trend.
Yeah, you see, we started this year, 2023, with you.
Mhm.
You're our first teacher for Action for Film class.
Mhm.
And now you can see where we are right now.
How far we've come.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Producing.
Producing.
Yeah,
I know.
now acting. Didn't work out, I guess. Okay, so if you don't mind, I will start.
Okay.
We invited you. As I said, of course, you were our first acting for film teacher, and I guess you are influenced a lot me, personally, in terms of acting. And well, you know, I'm coming from one country to another. I'm trying to see new culture, and you. I guess I was very lucky to have you on my first semester because you brought this discipline to our class that is necessary, and you showed me that is a real profession. Well, I guess we all kind of knew it, but it's just you. How to say it? You put us in the environment, in the atmosphere where we all were like, okay, it's serious.
Yeah.
It's getting very serious.
We're not messing around anymore.
Yeah.
No, why bother?
How do you feel about our first semester in scene?
Well, first of all, I thank you for having me.
Of course,
Yes, thank you so much for being on.
And for launching this, like,
Yeah.
because, you know, actors don't have control the way directors do, so like, taking on the producing side and being proactive, you know, that's how you have a career. You don't wait
Yeah.
around for people to cast you. Well, my first impression, I mean, like always, I can tell on day one, which people don't realize, who shows up early, except for you for your shoot.
it was once.
I was late one time. I was late one time.
But who shows up early and prepared and positive and open-minded. So what I noticed in the first exercise was the being open-minded, because you have to be collaborative in the medium and not trying to like figure things out.
Yeah.
You know, and the main thing is the positive energy, because you can't, you know, you obviously
force
can't
that.
work in a negative environment.
Yeah.
So,
No.
you know, and it's much easier to teach. I mean, obviously, you're imparting the information, and you guys, you know, did the work. I mean, there was one person that didn't, but you were, but you did the work, and you know, and yeah, I mean, there is no screwing around. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
if you're
Come
if
to
you're
play.
pursuing the craft, because you know this is a luxury. It's not, you know, there are people that are in the military, you know, like that are dealing with life and death. So like, if you're going to do it, either do it at
Commit.
100% or get out.
Or get out of the
You
kitchen.
know.
Yeah. Do you remember
I
how
agree
we
with you.
first worked?
I do. The first time Dasha and I ever worked together was in your class on a production workshop where we learned about beat work, and it was fantastic. And I do want to say about beat work, you know, as we go on, certain things stick, certain things don't stick, but it's a lifesaver when you do your actual beat work. Beat work, for anyone who might not know, is like, okay, I'm saying my line, and then I pick up this bottle. And so I'll write down on a piece of paper that after I say that line, that's where I pick up the bottle every time.
Yeah, and it's the actor's Bible, and the directors
Yes.
have to do it, except we have to do it as directors for every role. And some people try to escape that, but ultimately you can't.
No, you never
I mean, if
can.
you
Yeah.
want the work to be at a high caliber, so.
It really helped me with continuity. Coming to the school, well, I guess, again, I had like experience before in filming, but I was younger, and I don't think I've ever like was thinking about those things such as continuity. It's something was like, okay, it's not for me. I'm an actor, you know. I'm
Right.
here to act,
The
not to
winds
think.
of inspiration.
I don't think like this anymore. So yeah, and it helped me a lot with continuity. Like on other production workshops on second semester, I was again working with Ella, and well, it was just amazing because we were very aware of like beats and stuff like that. And thank you so much for this.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully, I mean, there's obviously different approaches, but there has to be some kind of preparation.
Yeah.
And, you know, people, I mean, the actors that have longevity and the directors that have longevity, I mean, if you look at Denzel Washington or Meryl Streep, they are meticulous. And I've seen it with my own eyes. Everything is prepared. We're not coming in, you know, BSing. right?
Yeah.
So eventually, you don't get anywhere if you were looking for longevity without some preparation process that has to do with beats. Everything is about the beats. The editing's about the beats. Everything's about the beats.
It's about
you know?
beats. It rules
And
the
many
roost.
other things, but
Sure, but it's like the baseline for
Yeah.
everything. It was extremely helpful.
well, that's good to know.
Yeah, absolutely. We really never forgot. I mean, it's wild. I worked on one set where I was script supervisor, and I just kind of having to keep an eye out for everything. When you even just like have a liquid, like a glass of something for every shot that has to be at the same level every single time, and it's, you know, it's there's a whole person who makes sure of all of that.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to learn early on.
I was wondering, well, obviously you have a lot of experience in outside of school, but you're teaching here for how long?
Well, I mean, it's gone back and forth because sometimes I've been at NYU and
Yeah.
SVA on AFI, but with the short-term programming, almost from the commencement of the one-year program is about 18 years.
18
Whoa.
Yeah,
a long
with
time.
the beginning of the one-year program in film and acting, which I helped to develop the curriculum in both, and the two-year filmmaking program. So
I'm curious, when you were making the kind of guidelines for the 1 to 2 year programs, what were some staple things that was like, okay, we have to teach these people these things? in this
well,
amount of
the
time?
original curriculum, which has changed, you know, obviously
Sure.
things evolving now with the BFA and the MFA, there's certain parameters, but one of the first people I brought on was a Shakespeare instructor,
Oh,
who
wow.
actually wrote my film, Hamlet Horatio.
Cool.
I mean, one of the primary Shakespeare scholars in the country, because film cinema is very inspired by Shakespeare. I mean, obviously, if you look at the plays, it's highly cinematic, and also the language and the imagination and the physicality. So it wasn't there to make people Shakespearean actors, but you have to actually use all the muscles. So when we were building, obviously acting for film, right, because it's a, but the foundation of how you break a scene down, scene study, movement, physical vocabulary, so movement courses, which actors always wonder why they're doing.
Yeah.
There's always a little pushback there.
Sure.
But those were the huge parameters. And then there was a history of acting course that was called Acting for the Lens, which is now morphed into something else. Every year we change the curriculum, but those were the foundation courses.
Cool.
Why, me personally, I always wanted to teach. And there is something going on, I guess, there are some beliefs in my country that being a teacher, it is great, but at the same time, unfortunately, right now we are not providing teachers great salaries, I would say, and it's starting all from salaries. And I wanted even to go and to receive my degree in teaching, but I decided that acting is something that I'm still though thinking about teaching acting maybe in the future, because it's just something about teaching that I was always, I don't know, interested.
I think teaching's nice because it allows you to know what you know. Like if you can teach something to someone else, then it's solidified that you know what you're teaching. Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good, you're good. Yeah, and like, so I'm asking, why did you decide to teach, and have you ever like regretted your choice to teach? Because students can be.
Oh boy. No. Well, it was not planned. I mean, I was at the American Film Institute directing In the Name of the Father.
Yeah.
My film that was at Sundance, and then, and I'd been working for Ed Zwick, who directed Glory. I was his assistant, and he, you know, and so I was finishing In the Name of the Father. It took about 1.5 years, and I was like, oh geez, you know, I have no job. I mean, because I wasn't going to stay in, you know, working for Ed as an assistant forever, because I wanted to direct. Phyllis Huffman, who was Clint Eastwood's casting director, and Olivia Harris, who was cast my film, were doing acting workshops in Portland. And I was trained as an actor at Harvard, working with some of the most powerful experimental directors in the world, like Robert Wilson and Anne Bogart and you know, Diane Paula. I mean, some people that have influenced the entire craft. So I already had a lot of, you know, theater, so I was invited to teach these workshops in the woods in Portland, Oregon. You know, Gus Van Sant's from there. It's a big film town. And that's where I had my trial and error, the teaching, because, I mean, I had no background. But because I was a film director, they wanted film director, you know, to be, Gail Abbott is the one that produced these. They just invited me up one weekend, and then it just continued on. And then I had my own institute in LA, at LA Theater Center, where I created my own curriculum, and I had a lot, Suzuki and I had a ton of the film and theater artists in LA there, and it grew into kind of a huge cult thing. That's how it started. Wow,
and it just kind of has been a snowball effect ever since.
Yeah, well then when I realized, oh, you know, I like this.
So you do like it.
And in between, it was a little difficult because I was directing Fall Time, my first feature, in the middle of all these things. And so I had to take 2 months, sometimes 2 or 3 months off, which makes it very difficult. I couldn't teach in a traditional high school or something like that because you're not allowed to come and go.
Sure. Is that part of
which
why
is
NIFA?
one of the well, NIFA is one of the few places where not only are you're allowed to come and go, but they want you to come. I mean, that everybody's working. That's how you know the craft.
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons that was like a huge draw for me to come to the school was everybody who's going to be teaching me is currently working in some fashion.
Yeah. All the camera equipment, also, you know, like when you're direct, I mean, like I did a big opera at the Baryshnikov Center about 6 years ago with one of the most famous Chinese opera singers, the prima ballerina at New York City Ballet, an actress from the Worcester Group, the experimental theater company, and yeah, that was, well, there were many other actors in there, but there were about 50 people. But learning the craft, their different disciplines, even though I'm the director, I'm picking up every single project is completely new. This is what I learned. So I'm teaching things that I'm keeping abreast of, including the technology all the time.
Which is always...
So that's why there's one of the few places. I mean, I did teach it at NYU grad film, acting for directors, with some incredible, this Iranian director now that's got, you know, done a lot of stuff. But it's a little bit more, and you know, Spike Lee was the artistic director, and of course he continuing to teach. I mean, all the people, we're 17 faculty at NYU grad film, but that you know, it's hard to teach if you're not working at some level. So, but it's a little tricky to come and go as much as it is here. You know, that was Jerry, was the founder, and you sadly missed him because he died of cancer, I don't know, about 7 years ago, but he was a huge proponent of, you know, like he was a producer himself, that everybody was allowed to come and go, and so students have to deal with that, you know, because otherwise
it's throwing you right into expectations of what the industry actually is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And that's why the first and foremost is time.
Yeah, this whole year
That's the
taught me
one
a lot.
thing, people coming on time and coming consistently is something that is a reality that, you know, I've seen and dealt with the repercussions of not being on time. Right.
Well, being on time is one of the biggest achievement of this year for me because I think I became very,
Oh my God, you never missed a day, and you were always a half hour early. She was late once.
Guys, wait, was I late once, Paul?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
For your own
you didn't say it yet.
We can get into details. Another
You
time.
made up for it, though.
Thank you. I try to, you know, I'll come in with 100%.
With the positive
anyway.
energy, and
Absolutely.
you were phenomenal in the scene.
Well, thank
so.
you. I appreciate that.
But anyway, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, you're good. You can talk about it. Yeah, being on time. Well, I always trying to be on time, but I'm explaining why it's a big achievement of this year for me, because I was always on time because I was extremely anxious all the time. I was anxious, I was trying to prove myself, I was trying to be enough, and it was coming from my trauma and from insecurities rather than from commitment and understanding
Right.
why I'm here and what I'm doing. So by the end of this year, with this commitment of the podcast, I think I developed this skill of being on time because I respect myself and because I respect other people's time. So I think it's for the world, like externally, I don't think anything changed a lot, but internally, my, I guess, attitude to this stuff changed, and I'm very proud of this, and I'm settling, and I'm thankful for you that you created this discipline, because especially coming from Ukraine to America, I've noticed, and I don't know if it's like bad, good stuff, that's what I just noticed, that discipline here in schools sometimes is, I don't know, not as harsh as in our country.
Mhm.
That I was on time, but as I said, I was very anxious and I was very insecure, and I was not okay. But here, thanks to you, I was like, I developed this skill of being on time because I respect my craft and I respect my team. Yeah.
Yeah, there may be certain, I mean, I don't know, I mean, certainly in the Moscow Art Theater, you know, like there's a certain rigorous discipline with the you know, Berliner Ensemble in Germany, you know, like serious theater companies, but you know, I mean, it can be lax here. I mean.
I feel like it's been very lax here.
You know,
I would agree with that.
but Juilliard, you know, there's no leeway. I mean, it's like that the rigorous school. I mean, if you're late, you're out.
Sure. My experience with time, actually, we're joking around about me being late this one time, but it has changed for the rest of my year how I am to things. It was a good experience for me because I've always been a late person. I have, it's in my DNA. I've spoken about this on the podcast before. I was born 2 weeks late, Paul. So that's my excuse. But it was a good experience for me, and I'm happy that it happened here. I'm happy that it happened first semester. I'm happy that it happened in a circumstance where everything still ended up being okay. And now I would say I'm pretty timely to everything now. And it's just coming from a place of, again,
Well, there's a
respect for
certain
other people's time.
flexibility. If somebody there's a difference if somebody doesn't care or
Sure.
just repeatedly, you know, but if you have positive energy, you did the work. I
Wrap it
mean,
up.
there are, you know, people will excuse it, but it's just, as you just said, it's mostly about respect for yourself
Yeah.
and other people.
That's
Yeah.
it.
Lateness projects that your time does not matter, and that does not fly in the business at all. It does not
Yeah, because
fly.
if I don't value myself, who will?
You know, and I would just tell you from firsthand experience, we had on Hamlet Horatio, my last film, there was a sound mixer, I'm not gonna name him, but was late every day. I said to the producer,
Well,
I
you
mean,
should.
and he was absolutely one of the best production sound mixers I've ever
Wow.
worked with, which is one of the hardest crafts on a film set.
Yeah.
But he was late every day, he rode a motorcycle. And I
Oh, that's why.
finally, you know, said to the producer, I said, that's it, he's gotta go.
Yeah.
I mean, he was fired like that. I mean, it just, because that 30-minute late means I'm 2 hours late with getting started, which means, you know how many shots that could be? 4 or 5
Yeah,
shots.
absolutely.
It's costing thousands of dollars, right? So, you know, plus it's making the actors tense, it's making
Makes
the
everyone
crew
on set
tense.
tense, absolutely.
So it's just incredible that people don't get that.
Yeah. Well, for me, Paul, that was at the start of my year. Come
I mean,
a long way.
well, that's good.
I'm curious.
I mean, people will be okay if you're, you know, if you make a mistake or the take
Sure.
isn't good or you're not sure what you're doing, that's fine. But to have the disrespect of lateness, I mean,
Sure.
that's not gonna.
It's not gonna fly.
work.
It was once. It was once. I'm on your side.
But after all of that, so my year has come. That's something I maybe would have liked to leave behind for this year. What's something out of your year that it's been so long since we've spent some time with you that maybe didn't go all perfectly for you?
You mean, well, here?
Yeah, sure. In the past
It's
year,
no,
anywhere.
I mean, nothing really here necessarily. I
Oh,
mean,
good, good. That's the dream.
Yeah, I mean, Yeah, well, no, I mean, no, because when you do, I mean, I don't take any judgment or what, I mean, you know, I teach and whatever. If you want to learn the information, you do.
Then
But I don't, what?
what is your achievement? I wanted to
Yeah.
ask, what is your achievement? If you don't have downs, which is great.
Well,
Yeah, beautiful.
the one thing I would like to leave behind is the hate.
Okay.
I mean, it's not having to do with the school, it's the hate triggered by Trump and the GOP. I mean, that's the big thing, you know, that we're experiencing right now. But as far as achievements, there are two things, I mean, that it's just remarkable, really, and unexpected is my film, you know, Hamlet Horatio has been open
Yeah.
for 2 years, and it just continues to play. But 3 months ago, I won Best New York City Filmmaker and it won Best Drama somewhere. It's won about 30 awards.
Congratulations.
Wow.
So I
Absolutely.
thought we were over because it's already premiered on Amazon and it's whatever, but it just keeps going. And then about 2 weeks ago, you know, you never know what's going to happen, but my film Fall Time with Mickey Rourke, which created a great deal of controversy, and because it was in competition at Sundance, and I even got into a little disagreement with Janet Maslin at the New York Times, because people were mad that I had Mickey Rourke and Stephen Baldwin as killers in a gay relationship. And Lionsgate was a little freaked out about it. But anyway, because they didn't know it wasn't in the script.
Oh, wow.
I developed it with them. But anyway, you never know, you know, like, so it created a lot of dissension. Then it was it reappeared on HBO a few years ago, and then I got this very interesting email from this guy who created a YouTube channel about Fall Time and bros, and how at 17 it had saved his life, and I was like, this is just incredible, you know, like,
Oh,
to
wow.
have something, a film
Goosebumps.
that you thought, like, well, first of all, you just are done with the
Put
film
out of
once
your
you're
mind,
done,
sure.
you know.
Yeah.
And also, I don't really read reviews. I mean, there's thousands of, you know, sometimes it's amusing to read them, but,
Can't read all of them.
but it was interesting authentically to see how he was comparing it to, you know, other films that deal with similar issues and how he was interpreting it. But to go to the whole point of having a YouTube channel. I mean, I only saw this 2 weeks ago. You know, like, it's just recent.
Huh.
About the film. That's bizarre.
That's
You know?
bizarre.
So it just shows you, like, if you stay, I mean, I stayed committed to my vision on both films, and eventually they find, you know, I mean, who knows whether they're flawless or not flawless, but they
Sure.
find their
Things
way.
have panned out.
They sometimes the timing of something, it may be in the wrong time, and then it
Sure.
comes into its own.
Well, that's a great achievement to save
That's a
You know,
someone's
so
life.
those,
Yeah.
you know, because they were both, I mean, Hamlet Horatio was developed over a period of time with David Vonda, who established the Shakespeare program here, and starred half of the graduates of the film program. Who, by the way, that's the other thing people need to realize, you know, you're auditioning every day. And these roles were developed for them, and so it was very gratifying to work with family. Half the crew was either graduates or people, I mean, years ago, graduated from here, so it was like a big family. And so to have the film continually expand like this, now again, it has, the distributors and the producers have done a lot, but I was very surprised about the recent, you know, things that
Developments
have
with-
happened. So,
Yeah, yeah, congratulations.
thank you.
Absolutely.
That's great,
a great
yeah.
achievement. Yeah, I know, like, one can only hope. Well, okay, so this is maybe a good segue on the topic of students. What advice would you have for a filmmaker who is coming to NYFA?
Not actor.
Not actor.
Actor or filmmaker?
Well,
yeah,
well, they're actually, actors are
Not
filmmakers,
actors.
because actors have the author. But the advice I would have is you have to come not having expectations of results. The
Oh.
most important thing is process. If you're not interested in the process and you just want a result, you might
There's
as
the
well
door.
not do anything in the arts.
That's beautiful.
Because you don't have any control over the results.
No, that's been my biggest lesson this year was expectations, because the expectations that I'm constantly setting for myself are so high that it's impossible to
Yeah,
really
well,
work.
everybody does. I mean,
You know, not
I-
everybody.
You
That's
know,
bad.
you know, I mean, I wanted In the Name of the Father, I had been told incorrectly was nominated for an Academy Award. And it obviously was one vote off or something. So I was like, from everything else, well, I have to get an Academy Award, and that makes you crazy.
Yeah,
I'm
So
sure.
I learned that early.
Yeah.
After that, I got up to go to the Academy nomination thing, and Jean Furstenberg, the president of the AFI, called me and she said, I don't know what happened. I mean, we had been told it was being nominated. I mean, because you do know that it's all very inside.
Mhm.
So, so that was the lesson. I was like, well, I just have to enjoy this process.
Process work.
So that would be the main thing.
I love
Don't
that.
look at the results and enjoy the failures and have fun with the process.
And failures, the mistakes, that's where you learn.
yeah.
That's what we
Absolutely.
said to the filmmakers. These are exercise. They make quite a lot of films in the first year, but it's exercise films. They're not final films.
Don't be thinking about it as if
You
this
know.
is the
Yeah.
thing that will
We all here
start
to
you
learn.
off.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that would be my advice.
Cool.
What
Right,
about
guys.
students who are already here? For filmmakers that are already at NIFA?
Well, it would be
Same?
the same thing,
Same.
except, well, it would be the same thing except to try to tackle it, as many techniques that you are afraid that you aren't good at.
Mm.
Don't go with the ones that like if you know that you're great at lighting or you're great with comedy, like in acting, like you are, why don't you do some surreal opposite thing or whatever, to take risks. That's
Take
what I
risks.
would recommend. And number 2, collaboration. Everything is about collaboration. So supporting the other filmmakers, supporting the actors. I just finished intermediate critique, students that are graduating next week, critiquing the intermediate films and the BFA films, and it was great to see how many were in the room, giving each other intensive notes, very intensive notes, not in a critical way,
Just notes
to as
help us all get
and
better.
wanting to
Yeah.
be there because they were on the crew rather than worrying about getting back to the editing room with their own film, which they had a lot of work to do. But, so collaboration.
Collaboration.
Without the if people don't like you and they don't want to work with you, I mean,
Then
that's
there's
it,
nowhere
it's
to go
over.
from that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So then any separate pieces of advice for someone who's already graduated?
Well, I mean, I work with a lot of people that have graduated, but the main thing
chance.
is to not expect any job that you're going to get immediately.
I'll learn that lesson in my own time.
I still
And this
want to
it's the
expect
same
it.
for directors, anybody. It could take years. I mean, there's like Kathy Bates. I mean, she did Night Mother, on Broadway, but Misery came much later.
Wow.
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 And
And Misery is what made Kathy Bates
well, she was already in the theater. I mean, quite renowned, but Misery
in
put her
film.
into the stratosphere
Absolutely.
in film. But you may never, I mean, you have to decide, if you're just working all the time, it may not, you can't control, you don't know what the results are gonna be. I mean, so people that have graduated and then they go, okay, I'm gonna get my first film in 6 months or whatever. Sure, if you're independently wealthy or your father is, whatever, Tim Cook, the head of Apple or whatever, then sure.
Sure.
Whether that means it's gonna be a good film or not. But for most people, I mean, just for example, Ronan Rubinstein, who, I mean, you may or may not know, you should know, because he's becoming quite well known, but he's the star, he's one of the stars of 911, was in my act.
What's the name again?
Ronan Rubinstein. He was in my acting for film class in maybe 2013 or something, I don't remember exactly. And I got a little irritated with him because he kept leaving. He was doing this feature film that appeared at Sundance, but he is only now, I mean, he started to get more and more attention, and then his character on 911, which Ryan Murphy produces, came out as, you know, well, or he, I don't know if he came out or the character came out of the closet or whatever, but he's suddenly this year, you know, started to go into the stratosphere, you know, and that's after 11 years of work,
Wow.
right? You know, so.
But if you
and
love the
then,
craft.
you know, Andy, who's Andrew Burdett, who's in the 2-year program here, he plays Hamlet in that film, and one of the most brilliant actors. I mean, he started here at 17. He just directed his first film, right? So he's done well. I mean, he's been on some TV series and whatever, but didn't ever have any ego whatsoever. He's been doing this since he was 14. He's about 25 now. And this film is just completed that he directed, and, you know, that's quite an achievement. But
Absolutely.
it may be, you know, that's maybe successful for him.
Sure.
But success does not mean a lot of money and, you know, whatever.
Fame,
You
recognition.
know, fame.
Absolutely.
I mean, necessarily. It means, are you enjoying the craft, and you know, and are you passionate about what you're doing, and are you able to keep working? I mean, there's not a lot of money, you know, like
No, there's not a lot of money.
my residual, you know, like people think directors make a lot of money, you know, since streaming, I mean, maybe I ended up with, you know, $50,000 royalties from Fall Time, and I'm still waiting for my Amazon check from, you know, Hamlet Horatio, which is
Hey, Amazon.
which is sold $1 million, you know, where's my royalty, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right?
You know,
Absolutely.
just on Amazon, but so you're never gonna be about that unless you're just lucky.
Yeah, luck plays a big part
It's
of it as
really
well.
luck, I mean, at the end of the day.
Oh,
Yeah.
so the final advice is just to be lucky.
To be lucky.
Be lucky.
To
Which
be
you can't
lucky.
For
control.
real.
I mean, I don't know, I don't have any answer to that, I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
I've
Sure.
observed 1 million people.
And also, yeah,
Music
path
about
and journeys are so unique. There is no
And it
right
also has to do with
instruction.
timing.
Yeah.
What people are looking for, you know, what's gonna hit at that moment in the culture.
Of course.
Nobody
Absolutely.
knows.
Before we are finishing, does anyone have questions in their audience? Maybe someone wrote something? Because if we don't, I have last question for you.
Okay.
Because you said that success doesn't mean that you have recognition. Do you believe that even if you don't have recognition, but you just love what you're doing, it's already
That's successful.
cool?
Yeah,
Okay.
because, well, first of all, if you're
I'm
doing
very
it for
successful now.
recognition, I mean, then you could probably be very unhappy, and, you know, this is where people get into drug, you know, like you've seen the struggles with some celebrities, so, but it's a very difficult thing to do. Directors deal with it, I mean, I've dealt with it, you know, I mean, it's you know, in my case, it was a little unfortunate that the first play I directed at Harvard got somehow attention from the outside press and was put in the top 10 list at 18 years old. So then I just thought, oh, that's how it all gonna be. And then the next thing I directed was slammed. So that's how I learned, you know, I mean, but unfortunately, not everybody has that experience, so, you know, they just see what they read or whatever coming. But success is like, are you happy doing it? Is it matter, you know, does anybody wanna see it? Who are you doing it for? It can't be for money. That's what I
Yeah,
was.
what are you doing it for? Absolutely. What are
What's the
what's
theme?
driving you?
What's the
Sure.
well, and also what's the premise? You know, what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point of why you're
Right.
making it in the first place? Absolutely. Do you care
Yeah.
about why you're making it, or are you just
Yeah.
making it to have something be made? Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, thank you, Paul,
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
much.
Paul, thank you
for
so
having
much.
me.
It was
This
incredible.
was amazing. I
I'll just
appreciate all the
take my
pieces of
water.
advice.
Okay.
Sure, yeah.
You can take this
Please
one
take
too.
your water. Yeah.
No, it's okay.
Put it on the road. Thank
Thank
so
you,
much.
guys.
Thank
Paul.
you.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, Paul.
Look forward to hearing it. Thank
We'll see
you
you
all.
around.
Yep.
Introducing our next guest. This guest has been acting, directing, and coaching for over 2 decades. Teaching credits include classes or workshops at the New York Film Academy, Rutgers University, the Pratt Institute, UW-Milwaukee, Delaware County Community College, the Acting Studio in Philadelphia, the Mississippi Summer Arts Institute. He has directed plays across the country. with a focus on new works, included award-winning A Gentleman from Mississippi, which debuted off-Broadway and toured nationally. It says Nice's official website. Please welcome our first ever technique and scene study teacher, Rico Rosetti!
I got the hey, I stole one already. I had that.
Everybody's got extra bars.
I'm getting wrapped like those lights. It's
Are you?
crazy. It's kind of hot
It's
here.
always,
It
it's,
is.
see, this is Dasha's every episode.
This is Dasha, this is Ella.
No
Yes.
kidding. And I feel like George Bailey in Mr. Potter's office right now.
I know.
I'm breath right now.
Don't worry about it. Anyway,
Yeah, welcome on, Rico.
Thank you.
How are you?
Again.
How are you? We were
I'm-
anxious at the beginning. How
I'm
are you?
good. I'm good.
Oh.
How are you?
I'm less
good.
anxious as well.
Yeah.
Less anxious.
I'm
yeah.
way less
Been
anxious.
on
Good.
here for a little bit now.
Yeah.
Little context to how we know Rico. So acting for film,
Yeah.
that was Paul, that's our instructor, that's a backbone of this course. The other backbone of the course that we're taking is technique and scene study.
Yeah.
And Rico was our first ever teacher way back in January.
And almost your second teacher.
And
as well.
almost our
Oh,
second.
Oh my god, that was such a
I know.
disappointment.
It was, we were
Well,
so excited.
We love our second
Yeah,
teacher.
you
Yes.
ended up okay. Yeah.
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 Still though,
It all ended up
it was
well.
a hard miss.
Not for me,
Yeah.
because I didn't get to work with you guys. But so
Well,
you got-
my first impression of you, Rico, I came from. My English is not my first language.
No.
If you didn't recognize, I'm not. You see, so I'm proving my point. And I'm coming to this class, technique and scene study, and there is a man who is just talking and talking and very energized.
Yeah.
I was kind of understanding you.
Uh-huh.
I was feeling.
You'd be one of the few if you did.
Sometimes I miss it.
Well, I
Yeah.
was at some point you would just see me in the class being like this because I was just trying to hear any words. But you actually really developed my hearing skills.
Oh, good. Paul developed
yeah.
her acting skills. I developed her hearing skills.
That's not true. I'm still here
I
about
remember the long rants as well. I remember just putting our phones away on the table, turning them off. Love
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
I also remember though, while my phone is away on this table, you going on about something and say, okay, tip of advice for everybody. If you don't know a name or something, write it down so you can look it up later. And
But how? My brain and my notes are
my
over
brain
there.
is over on the table.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yeah, learned a lot of just random little life advices.
Oh,
So-
good. Yeah.
Can we be a bit selfish and ask you what was your first impression of us?
I thought, why are they all staring at me like that?
I just told you, so don't worry about it
I know.
anymore.
No, you know, like Paul, I've been teaching here a long time.
Yeah.
And the school has changed. We have the BFA program now, and we've always had the conservatory and the short-term programs. And there are always many, many, many groups coming in, all year round. And so you get, I think, if you've done it long enough, you start to read, and sometimes you're wrong, but you start to read the dynamic of a group, in the first couple of classes. And I thought, oh, these guys are going to be okay.
And we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that held out to be,
Fairly true.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Of
it did.
course.
You made it easy. So that was my first impression.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay, well, so how long have you been teaching here?
About almost 13 years now.
Almost 13 years.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit
Wow.
about your journey to teaching and your journey to NIFA.
Don't do what I did. Don't do this. I dropped out of high school initially. There you go, right for the GED students in the back. The mopping the floor. I didn't know I was going to do this. I was playing some guitar poorly in some bands, working at crappy jobs. And somewhere along the way, I had rediscovered this interest that I had in film. I mean, I'd always loved film, but when I was a little kid, I used to make my friends all be in my movies and all that kind of stuff. And I tried to go to college for about 2 weeks, and that didn't work. And I kept playing guitar, less poorly, but still poorly, for years, and working less shitty jobs, but still shitty jobs. And when I was about 20, almost 24, and all my friends were out of college, I decided I had to start to go, and went and found theater while I was there, and remembered all this stuff that I used to like to do. And so I started to do that, and I got in some classes and a little bit in the school, and went to different college where I studied film actually at Temple University for a couple of years, but I was already acting, and so it became easier and less expensive for the filmmakers in the room, because you had actual film back then, which was prohibitive cost. To be an actor, it's less expensive to be an actor, and I was already doing it.
Less
So
expensive to be an actor.
yeah, in some ways, than a filmmaker, obviously. But, you know, that was the beginning of my journey, and I was in all these acting classes, and I had holes in my craft, and I'll get to in a minute, but I was in these big classes with these master teachers and national guys that they write up in the books and that sort of thing, and all these people in the room. And there are these fantastic, famous actors up on the stage, and they're fascinating because they're brilliant, and I'm this dumbass and watching them. But I can't take my eyes off the old Greek man in the chair who's giving them the critiques and talking to them. It was true with my own mentor and all that. I thought, that's cool, but that's cool. And I knew, you know, my mentor, who is how I got into that main class anyway, let me start to teach in his organization. He helped me out, and I realized that I liked to do that, and I probably had a bit of a knack for it. So I always, early on, I guess, in my journey, I discovered that I like to teach or direct and do those sorts of things, probably more than act. So that's how I got there. And then when that mentor died, and I was drifting around, not really wanting to act much anymore, but I still wanted to teach. And I bumped into a friend of mine who I went to grad school with outside of Union Square. The NYFA used to be at Union Square, now it's condos. And she got me hooked up with NYFA. And that was so there I was.
13 years ago, and now here we are.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think that's fascinating. I also like to see a good teacher. Like same with this Greek guy over there that we're talking about. I think it's nice to see someone who knows how to teach. And actually, I felt that way about watching you teach. Absolutely, Rico. It's inspiring to watch someone constantly inspire people. And also, just a little bit of kudos to you because I can't help it. You teach in a way where if someone isn't understanding it, you'll say it in another way.
Mm-hmm.
Really fast, though.
Yeah, really fast, and only if they can catch it.
But that's a good thing, because you think fast, and as an actor, you should think fast. You should be a smart actor. Yeah, I agree with you. You really hike my expectation to a teacher, because if it feels like you were. From the first class, you brought this like authority in the class that you are here also to, you know what you're doing, and it's like I also want to know what I'm doing. So it feels very, I don't know. After you, I've been have my opinion on other.
Well, but that's an important point.
Approaches.
Is coming back, I had holes in my game, and I moved to Milwaukee for a few years, and they had a great graduate program there that had moved since. And every actor my age and older had gone through this program almost, and they were all geniuses and brilliant. And I looked at them and thought, well, fuck me. I wasn't that. And so I needed to go to grad school to fill those holes in, and also because to teach you had to anyway. But when I went there, and it's the first time that I really got locked down into what you guys are experiencing to some extent, that kind of conservatory process. We were 9 a.m. to almost 11 p.m. every day. And you come out on the other end of that strong and with all this technique that they drop into you. And if you apply yourself and you keep doing, and by then you're into the habits, and you just have to keep doing it afterwards, or you can't sleep because I got to get up and do the thing. And every actor that you've ever seen in the world has some version of that technique. Sometimes they didn't go to school, but they were child actors and learned it as a professional, necessity along the way. Sometimes they go to school in one way or another. And they all develop technique because they're all trying to compete at the highest level possible. And everybody else in the room knows everything. and you also want to know everything. And if you don't, if you're not curious about that, if you're not looking at yourself critically and saying, well, I don't know how to do that, and wanting it, then don't do this at all. Because those people, you're going to get eaten alive. And the best thing to do is know that you're going to get out of here in a couple years, all of you, some of you. And you know, you're still going to need work. And you're going to need to keep developing your craft and keep training, keep doing all the things you're supposed to be doing, because that's how competitive it is. You know, if you want to be a dancer, you know, you can't go out and take some dance classes and then sit on the sofa and watch soap operas all day and expect that anybody's going. You have to continue to train all those hours every day. Or a musician or anything, an athlete, anything you want to do. It's the same process to be an actor or to be a filmmaker, to be anything that you want to be good at, is to immerse yourself in it and in the technical aspects of it all the time.
What's wild about these technical aspects though, and the more that I'm learning different styles of technique, is it's like every person's own technique is truly their own.
Yeah.
Like the way that you prepare for a scene, the way that you prepare for a scene, sure, we're given the same rudimentary guidelines, but like what ends up working for me is mine and mine alone, which I think makes this craft an interesting one compared to dance or music, because it's not as like scientific.
Well, I don't know if that's, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But I will also say that even in music, it being the other thing I know fairly well, that people bring their own, they find their own technique, you know. But, you know, imagine, and I use this example, that you've got two people who show up, your car breaks down, and two people show up. One's got to fix your car. One's got a little shoebox tied with a string with a couple tools rattling around inside. And the other one pulls out one of those great big rolling things, right, with all the drawers and a pneumatic tank on the side. And all. Who are you going to let fix your car?
Guy with the tank.
Yeah, and the tools. It is very possible that the guy with the shoebox has exactly the right tool to fix your car. But if anything else breaks, he doesn't. But the guy with all the tools is like, I know how to, I'll just pull out this tool and fix that. When you're talking about having your own technique, what you're talking about is, in this movie, in this play, in this moment, I'm going to approach it this way. And in general, I'll start here. But I have all of these tools that I can use to fix or do anything that is asked of me. And so that's really what technique is. It isn't about doing everything all the time. It's about having all those tools ready so that you can do anything when it's asked of you. And that's why it's vital to take in as much as you can and to train all the time and perfect yourself. As a performer, if you're going to perform, it's vital.
I have a question.
I got an applause tonight.
I have a question about teaching. I want to go a bit to teaching again. I wish filmmakers had more classes with like acting for directors.
Yeah.
So my question, have you ever teach those classes?
Oh yeah. I
And
was
what
doing
is
that for
like
a while.
core things that you want to teach directors? Like
I was teaching that class until when I was full-time hourly. Since I became full-time salary and all my money came out of the acting department, I had to stop teaching those classes
okay,
for some reason. So sorry.
put a pin on it.
Yeah, but I loved teaching those classes because I think that in my grad program, the directing track people had to come and take all of our acting classes with us because you need to know how to talk to each other. And that's why you guys also have, you know, the actors have film craft and all the other stuff that you have to do. You are taking roles on set so that you understand the role of everybody else and how to talk to them about their job. How to talk to actors is a very specific thing. You know, we deal in actions and objectives, and we don't deal in colors and emotions or just, you know, be mad. I think it's purple. Can you be purple? No, I can't be. I don't know what the hell you're talking about. But I can try to stop her from, taking the baby to the wrong doctor or something. You know what I mean? I can do the thing, and that's active. And you know, I can say, you know, he's trying to leave, and you're not done working out the problem. You got to fix the problem, or you won't sleep tonight. Like those are active things that you can do. And if a director knows how to talk to actors that way, and if a teacher does too, it's all about helping them see the problem and helping them to fix it, and not being vague about it.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, I wish, I love working with students on student projects. I love gaining this experience together. But we talked with other guests on our previous podcast that I personally see a lot of issues sometimes with working with directors, because sometimes they don't know the way we approach something and how to approach us, so we tell the story the way they want to see it. So yeah, I think I was just curious, how do you see it? And like,
I think that every director, you just had a good director sitting here, and yet, Paul works the way that he works, and not everybody, and he even said, not everybody has the same technique as an actor, not everybody has the same technique as a filmmaker. And sometimes they clash, no matter what you do, no matter how skilled people are. And it's best to be able to sort of read the room, right? But sometimes you can't. Sometimes it just becomes irreconcilable and nobody gets along, and things are rough. But ultimately the work may be okay. But the main thing is, I think I'm getting away from the question.
it's fine.
Yeah, no, because I'm trying to you see, filmmakers and actors, well, you are all filmmakers.
Well, I'm asking you,
Yeah.
not only because it's film, I'm asking
Yeah.
you because you're also a director. You directed
Yes.
like a play just recently.
Yes.
You were our director, you directed our monologues.
Right.
So I'm curious because of that as well. How do you like?
Directing for me,
Yeah.
directing for me is a process of, and so is acting, because but directing for me is a process of this thing happened, and now I have to respond to that thing. That moment happened. Now there's the next moment, and the next moment has to logically come out of that previous moment. If this guy does this, this thing goes over here. Does that make sense? Gets up, dusts itself off, runs back over, and does that. And if all of those things are happening in sequence, you didn't know you were going to have visual aids today. If all those things happen, logically, felt like dominoes falling. One moment follows the next. And if you can do that, and to you it tracks and makes sense from out here. If it makes human sense, like directors look at it and say, oh, that looks really cool, the kind of directors who aren't paying attention to the human bits.
Sure.
And sometimes actors don't pay attention to the human bits either. But if everybody's paying attention to the way that the human experience unfolds, this happens, then that happens. And there are 1,000 ways to respond to this. But 1,000 truthful ways and 1,000,000 untruthful ways, or contrived ways. If it's one of those 1,000 truthful ways, it's going to work. And sometimes a director has a particular vision of a few of those truthful ways, and you're way over here, and they're way over here. But you can meet on that as long as it's the truth, and as long as it tracks moment to moment to moment. There's a guy named David Ball, not related to the producer Alan Ball, but he's a stodgy British man, from like the old days. And he wrote a book called Backwards and Forwards. And he literally talks about the idea that every action is preceded by the thing that, ignites it. Like, you look at it, what am I doing with this line? What am I doing in this moment? An actor may ask in a script. Well, look 1, 2, at most 3 lines above it, and that's what you're doing. You're responding to that. That is causing you to do this, the way a domino hits the next domino. And it fits perfectly with the sort of Meisner technique, which I was trained in, which is, work off of in the moment to moment to moment to moment. And so that's what you're doing. If everything you're doing, this event starts things off, and if everything follows from that, then and it's truthful, and you buy it, then you're okay. If you're not buying it, you're the director or you're the actor, and nobody's buying what's happening, you're doing something wrong. And you have to learn to talk to each other so that you can figure that out and make human truth happen.
You just explain the core of acting to everyone right now.
Well,
Yeah.
you're welcome.
Free.
It's like before.
Yeah. That's the core of acting to me. Meryl Streep will come in here and beat the shit out of me. My remains for Viola Davis to kick in the hall. Because they're also, that's, for me, that's the simplified version. But, and I'm not terribly academic about it. But some people like Meryl Streep and Viola Davis, Juilliard and Yale, they certainly are. And, but you have to be to some extent. But everybody, again, has their own language and way of dealing with these things.
Yeah.
And as long as it ends up at the truth, and it's somewhat compelling, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. What I
Yeah, well,
That was a great little piece of, absolutely.
yeah.
good footage today.
I think that like that's such a common thing to hear from people, from acting teachers, is like, be present. And it's like that word, there's so much that goes into that, and I think that was all said very well. Yeah, very just reminiscent of her classes, Rico.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's been a year since we've met, and since
Yeah, we started this year again together, and
That's
we're
right.
finishing
And
this
we're
year.
finishing
It's
year
very
together.
symbolic today for
Very
us.
nice.
very symbolic. It's
Yeah.
a lot has gone down. Tell me about something great that you've done this year, some achievement that you've done.
Achievements. Well, I mean, you know, I was very proud, and I would take some credit for it, but, you know, like, I don't know, Denzel's still out there. I think, yeah.
The play,
But
I
the
know.
play went really well, you know,
Yes,
and I'll
I'm a
take some
big
credit,
fan
but
of
I love my entire cast for stepping up and making me look really brilliant. But they really did. If you haven't seen it, too bad. But at least make up and go see the one downstairs tomorrow if you haven't
Yeah.
seen that. They need. I was really proud of that. I had so much fun where I haven't directed anything since about 2016 because I directed like 5 shows in a row and I was exhausted. And I didn't want to. And this kind of rekindled my joy of wanting to do that, my desire to want to direct a little more. So I think that's a nice thing to happen.
Yeah, I love the play, so of course.
Yeah.
I hoped you say that. Yeah, I hoped you mentioned your play. It was my first play that I watched at NIFA that was directed. It was like play production, so at NIFA 7th semester?
Yep.
It was play production semester, and it was my first time seeing it, and I think that everything was just great. The SAG, the directing, of course, acting, and yeah, I just loved it. I saw it twice, and every time I was very, like, it caused different emotion. It's just incredible. Yeah, I'm waiting for my semester to.
Yeah, it's coming up faster than you know.
Yeah, very fast.
Yeah.
It's wild how quickly this year has passed on just kind of a different note, but it really is insane. This program's 8 semesters long. We are just finishing our 3rd, and it feels like 2 seconds have happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about something that you want to leave behind?
Oh man.
I think it's just important. It's important to talk about ups and downs, so we see
You know,
growth is fine.
you know, everything here was fine, more or less. You know, for me, I have. Anybody who knows me knows that I'm a big animal lover. We had a house full of animals, and 3 cats and a dog. And 2 of the cats died from horrible things in rapid succession this summer. And that was hard. That, you know, for me, because you know, it's like, oh, here, this. Oh, by the way, that one has that, and then boom, boom, boom. So that was rough. So I'd like to leave the summer of 2023 behind if I can. But in almost everything else, it's been a pretty good year. Uneventful. You know, I'm okay here. I met some really great people. Most of you.
Yes,
And
I'm late, and now I'm.
and you know, and Doctor Who is back, and I don't know.
Doctor
Who is back.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
but so I think, but that's it. You know, those kinds of things that happen, they inevitably happen. That they're meant to happen. You know, but I didn't like that they happened the way they did in that fast. So
Shout out to all our
Yeah.
animals.
yeah, I know, man.
Out there. It's sad. It's hard. I know. It's hard though. It's a hard, weird life thing that happens.
Yeah.
You never actually expect it, and you want to make
Mhm.
excuses. But we'll move on to maybe a little happier subject. Okay. So for any actors coming in, we talked about those filmmakers.
Yeah.
Any actors coming in, what piece of advice would you have for them?
No, because I have so many pieces of advice. It's fine because they're looking at me like, he's in the right. You can hear them giggle out there. I don't know if you can. But I think that my first piece of the main piece of advice is whatever you think this is, it isn't. And so be open to what's going to come your way and take it and just run with it. Do the things you're being asked to do. Do them as well as you can. Be open to the experiences, the new things that are going to come that you don't even know, you don't know. And that's my advice.
That's good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good advice. NIFA hasn't been what I thought it was going to originally
Yeah.
be. For me, it's been better. I've had an incredible time here thus far. Dun dun dun.
Yeah.
But yeah, stay
Interesting,
open.
yeah.
A lot of times the student experience is dependent, and this was true for me in grad school, even grad school when I went to Rutgers. Rutgers. Even now it's a good school, but at the time it was a fantastic, highly regarded school. And we had 12 people in the room, and 4 of them made it a shit show. 3 of them really. And by the end of the year, they were all not invited back. You know, the student experience is greatly affected by the people you're in the room with. I think that might be the main thing, more than the teachers, more than the technical stuff around you. It's who's in the room with you, because you're learning off each other, you're growing with each other, and you have to work with each other. So I think you guys have gotten really damn lucky, yeah, all these semesters. So
We were, yeah, and I just can't be more grateful for what I have right now.
yeah.
Absolutely. What about people that are here already? Oh, maybe actually just to induce some, for people that maybe don't have the best group, or there's a few people who aren't as invested as others, what
Yeah.
to do then?
Well, even if you are in a good group, you know, malaise can set in, and you know, people are here and like they're getting a little lazy or content with what they're doing. And I always say to myself, you know, be curious about everything. If you're curious about things, if you're curious about your craft, you know, Paul was talking about, you know, learning from failure. I don't think you learn because you fail. I think you can fail, and then if you analyze what went wrong, you've learned. I think you can learn from success the same way. You can learn from success as long as you analyze what went right properly. And everything you do, be curious about it. What is that? Why am I doing that? Why is the camera where it is? You know, is that right? Should we do, you know, oh, is that why? Oh, so when I'm doing this, and oh, I see how that class connected to that thing. Breathing, now I understand. Like those kind of things that you're gonna, it's staying curious all the time. Reading, go read books, fiction books, read the news if you can stand it. You know, read everything you can get your hands on. If you're gonna go sit and watch social media, go find some educational videos on YouTube and learn about, on TikTok or whatever, you know, learn about things. But stay interested in your own development in every aspect of your life, and you know, you'll be okay.
I love it.
Yeah.
Before also, again,
Yeah.
I know that some people there have questions for you.
Oh boy.
At what point did you feel that you needed to teach?
Yeah, well, it's like I needed to. When I was running out of money. That is why some people do it. But again, I got to coach some people in an acting class that I was in who weren't quite up to my teachers. You know, they weren't getting it. And he'd look at me and say, hey, George DiCenzo was a great man, a scary, large man. And he'd say, Rico, go take him and go fucking work with him, right? All right, good. And I go out and I'd work with this actor and come back, and something sometimes would click, and that felt really great to me. And then directing a couple scenes in that master class here in New York, or in Philly, where I finally got to teach a class in his studio in Philly. I would sub for him in Philly, and Nathan Lane would sub for him in New York. You know, it was the kind of the difference in the thing. But and I wasn't going to sub in New York, but I did get to teach all, and so developing that right there, like that, having it all click, watching the light bulb go off for that person, just is what. Then I just wanted to keep doing that.
Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay, we have one last question from an audience member.
Ooh.
What is the biggest misconception about acting, in your opinion?
Good one.
That's a good one. That's a
Yeah.
really good one. That is fun. That's about expressing emotions.
It's misconception.
That's a misconception. That's about
I agree.
expressing emotions. Acting isn't about expressing emotions. Acting is about, emotions are the result of the struggle to get what you want, to struggle through these relationships and these scenarios, and try to come out with, you know, whatever stakes you're carrying around with you, you know, and to come out on the other end of that, hopefully, you know. Hamlet struggling, with at first trying to know if he's sane, if this ghost is real, if all these, is he supposed to do this? And with his guilt and all those things, and his impotence, more or less. Rose in Titanic is struggling to get free and have some sense of freedom about her life, and all the things that happen to her reflect that. And so it's not about the emotional life and things. It is every actor and every role that you see, and every writer knows this, because they're writing it is driven by action. And that's what that's the core of what we do, is action, not emotion driven. So that's my...
Acting.
You can't play be purple, be mad. No. How do I get to purple?
Well, yeah, you don't get to purple. You tell people to go fuck themselves when they tell you to be purple, right? Or you have to have enough craft in your big red rolling toolkit to interpret that and turn it into active behavior. So that's you have to protect yourself by having technique.
I hope we have technique.
Can I just say one last thing? I don't know if you...
No, I don't know if they can see it. You can read it off.
It's in parentheses, a little tiny line, please, and then it says, be considerate, bitches. I'm just going to zoom in to take a look at it right here. Brilliant. And that's the other thing in this whole craft, is everybody is trying to make something happen. And everybody's trying to make the project better. Everybody. And you gotta honor each other's craft and be considerate of each other. And if you bitches, and if you are, good things will come your way. So that's it.
Beautiful. Fantastic to have you on.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Thank you, man. All right. Thank you, everybody.
We are inviting the head of the Podcast Club's production department and an official officer, Amit Shilo! Woo!
And Bursar officer at NIFA's The Podcast Club, Yeva-Mariia Onufryk! Woo!
Hello.
Oh, it's our guys!
So to the people, these are two of our production department officials that we have working with us all of the time.
Yeah.
Amit is the man behind the camera. Yev is the woman behind the money.
Both of you are nailing it. How are you?
I'm good, I'm great.
how you
I'm watching
see the
you from the back.
podcast?
So.
Excited.
Just
How does it feel like to be in our shoes?
kind of nervous, but it's part of it. If I'm not nervous, it's not fun. So
Not
I
fun?
guess. Yeah.
Being
Well,
nervous means you care.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, how do you see yourself first, like, to guest? How were you, like, planning what you would say? How was it to be there and I'm here, sitting here?
I don't know, I just always drop in the moment myself because whatever I prepare, nothing comes out. I just say like some random thing, so I will just, I will not prepare anything, it's not gonna work, so we will see. We will see.
We will see. Beautiful.
It's a surprise even for me.
Beautiful. Well, you guys have, Amit, you've been here from pretty much the start of this, from everything.
Yeah.
You've seen it all go down.
From the first episode.
Yes, from the first episode. Okay, well, I guess before we get into some podcast information, let's just hear a little bit about who you guys are. Amit, tell me where you're from, what brought you to NIFA, what brought you to filmmaking? I know,
Wow.
it's 3 heavy things.
Hi. My name is Amit. I'm 24 years old. Yeah. My favorite color is green.
My same.
That's why we called you.
Great.
That's why you are in our team.
Yeah, I moved here around a year and a half ago from Israel. Yeah. I love filmmaking. I know what to say. I love screenwriting. Yeah, that's what I love to do the most.
Tell me one story about how you knew that this is what you're going to do with your life.
Filmmaking?
Filmmaking.
Wow. I guess one time I watched this movie and I just knew, wow, this movie is so good. How they made it? Like how they made it. So yeah, I started to do like a little research, with myself. And yeah, it's so interesting, just to know what's going on behind the camera.
Yeah.
There's like a whole you old, you know.
Me and Ella worked on your project. I remember the wedding gift. I can
Oh,
say
yeah.
about
Wedding
it. It's
gift.
you can find it right on your. Can you? Find
Yeah,
it?
yeah, we can. Yeah.
I love working, and since then, like I met you there, maybe a bit before, but like
A
was
little bit.
we.
I saw you around, so.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right. And since then, like I knew that you're a very passionate filmmaker. You're very like if you're committing to a lot of projects, you have a lot of ideas, and it was really. I remember we were talking with Ella, like thinking about who would be our production manager in the podcast. And well, I'm so grateful that you said yes,
Thank you,
because
thank you.
literally I couldn't imagine any episode without you. You handle a lot of equipment stuff that
Yeah,
we
I
have.
don't know.
Yeah, we have
Words
no
for it.
idea how
Fuzzy
to do
cat.
that.
What else? There's fuzzy cats. There's bullets. Those are just some of the words that
Tripods,
Yeah.
crazy stuff. So yeah, I'm just so happy that you're starting with us and you're still here with
Sure.
us.
Thank you
Yeah,
so
yeah.
much.
Yeah.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Yeah. What about you, Yeva-Mariia?
Okay. Oh, you don't know? Okay, so my name is Yeva-Mariia Onufryk. I'm from Ukraine. I'm 19 years old. My favorite color is also green. I have leg nails. Okay, what brought me to NIFA? Honestly, I just always somehow knew I'm gonna be here. You know, one day, I tried to apply here before in 2022. It didn't work out, but it worked out in really great time. I believe it should be, you know, like right now. I was a professional dancer before, so you can see how I came like to performing. But at the same time, I was doing IT before, so everybody's like, why are you here? So you can see like difference in my life that you don't know why I'm here, but at the same time you're like, oh yeah, I see exactly why you're here. I just always knew. It wasn't like something I was curious about. Like since 8 years old, I started to say to people like, yeah, I'll do acting.
Yeah.
Just it.
It's
Yeah, like
fun.
I know.
That's not. I had a similar experience. I like from a very young age was just kind of like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna end up doing. I've never felt, I guess, anxious or anything about.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, curious, but I've never felt like, oh,
I mean-
I don't know if it's gonna happen.
Yeah, and I'm like
Yeah.
super uneducated in films. I mean, like, you know, so I know Marvel. I like that type of thing, but still, yeah, enjoying.
I know that you joined our team later than Amit,
Yeah.
but you were working and helping us with this event. Well, actually, thank you so much. It's
Yeah,
turned
thank
out to
you.
be
Thank you for
actually.
letting me do that.
Yeah, of course.
Honestly.
You helped a lot, and if anyone saw posters at NIFA, Yeva helped us with them, and with money, with budgeting, which was kind of tough, and I didn't know how we would do it with you as well. So
Oh,
really,
thank you. I love to be a part of something, and I love when people
Something.
create. No, I love to surround myself with people who create something important, and put soul into that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and also we are friends, so I want and support and love to do something with the brain, to use my brain, so it kind of worked out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I want to know from each of you, because you are new, and I know we've just briefly kind of talked about it, but watching this podcast grow, how has your experience been being a part of this?
Like
This whole operation, sure. Anything positive,
Yeah.
negative, I just... Yeah.
negative too. You can
For the podcast?
Yeah, for the podcast club. And actually is.
at NIFA.
I guess it's really interesting. I never did a podcast before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I never got a chance. That's the first thing the first podcast I do. I guess it's really interesting, you know.
Mhm.
It's very completely different from a regular film,
Mhm.
you know, because it's one take and you just sit there and watch. But yeah, I guess it's really interesting, you know. You can see the difference between the first episode, the second, the third, the fourth, and so on. That how we get better each time, you know. At the end of the day, I guess we're just ordinary people that try to do something big, you know. So I guess it's pretty exciting, yeah.
Yeah.
What was maybe the biggest challenge for you?
For podcast, wow.
No, you
I-
can say.
No, it's fine.
All right.
I guess every time, like, sound is a bitch. Sound is a bitch, you know. And every
As I
time
move my chair.
Like bitch.
you move your chair, don't do it, and the cable doesn't work. Yeah, sound is really horrible sometimes. But, yeah.
And what about you, Yeva?
Yeah.
Negative. I wasn't here from the start. But no, honestly, I wasn't like on the shoots a lot, but I was as a start of the shoot, and I see you created ideas. That's what I love. That you're not just coming here and be like, okay, we will do something. You actually prepare. You actually search for the guests. Think what should you do? I mean, even like this setup today that we see. Wow, you can sit, you can eat, you can talk with anyone. Like those things. Yeah, I love it. I'm just so excited to be around something that's like.
So no challenge.
Appreciate that.
Oh, when? I didn't have the opportunity to have challenges. Challenges right now, honestly. I love the idea of the podcast.
Yeah.
I think like talking should be monetized sometimes. So yeah.
What about you? What about your challenge?
Didn't expect that. That phone drop right there, that was my biggest challenge. I think getting comfortable actually doing it. Like I think, you and I know a lot about the background of what goes into the whole club. It's not just a podcast, it's a club here at the school. And so there's just a lot of fine tuning that has to go into it. And so there's so much that we kind of do on the back end that's the actual work of it. That by the time that we're sitting with the cameras on us, it's like, oh my God, what do I say? And it's my first experience being in front of cameras, not playing a character, playing myself. And I've spoke about this through multiple episodes, but I've grown a lot more comfortable being myself and speaking to an audience as myself. It's completely different than anything else I've experienced. What about you then?
My biggest challenge with this podcast, well, obviously, is to produce everything, but I will say it all the time, without this team, it will never be as big as it is now. So, I guess a lot of just internal thoughts and realizations that I had, insights. I stopped caring much about, well, it's not true, I'm still caring, but it's like, I'm trying to put it aside the way I look, because for me, you know it. For me, for a long time, my appearance was something that was more frustrating for me. I don't know, it's just like, podcasts are usually not visual, but we're creating something that we're just sitting and talking, and it makes me self-conscious all the time. So I guess my biggest challenge, my biggest challenges were like internal, just, I don't know, internal battles with myself, with like, in terms of how I look, how I sound, and stuff like that. But it's a great skill, it's great media training for me. So no challenges, it's like only growth, I guess.
Yeah. Kind of on what we were saying with Rico and Paul, where it's like just any learning experience is a great one.
No, absolutely.
And that's kind of on the note of my next questions to you guys.
Yeah.
We've just kind of shared something, and we can talk more about it, but something that I've learned from this experience. I'm curious as to you guys, what's something that you will take with you to the outside world from having worked on this?
Cool.
That's a tough question.
Is it that bad?
No, no. I'm just trying to think of an answer. Do you have an answer?
Yeah, I have. So, like, my favorite advice from here, like, actually it comes from Rico, is that you are your own instrument.
Yeah.
That's why you have to be self-aware, to work on yourself, your body, your mind, and your soul, and your voice. Everything that you have, it's not even only acting or only filmmaking. It's in every area in your life. The only thing you actually 100% have is yourself. And you get to work with it all the time. So the first thing you should care about and think about and improve is yourself in every area, not only artistic side of yours, not only voice, only body, only mind, but everything, because that's what exactly will help you to stand out and then to be the best in whatever you do. For me, it's like advice that I needed at my time, and it's a kind of even a mantra that I'm taking with my life in the future, because it takes also about being present right now, being focused, respect, discipline, because I loved how we talked here about discipline, because I was like the same. I thought about the same thing. Not coming on time. It's not about yourself. It's about being disrespectful to other people, which is bad. Then it creates bad vibes. and you cannot work together, you're getting late. It's all like domino effect. You know, you do one thing, but then it grows into bigger. So you have to think and to really understand what's going on around.
Yeah.
Love
Yep.
that.
Cool.
You have your.
Yeah, I have an answer.
No. Do you need more time? I can talk.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
I can.
I thought about it while you talked. So I guess it's not, I didn't take it just for the podcast, I took it from every film that we've ever been on. As you're more prepared to the production will go the better, you know? So I guess if you have we're gonna shoot an episode 5 days from now, so it's better to prepare from now, you know, so we could have time and energy to get all the equipment, get all the crew, and get the location. And yeah, so more preparation, the better the project will be, you know? Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, prep work.
Yeah.
It's been a big, long year. I'm really just, I don't know how would I finish this year in a better way if I just have you guys. And we do create something that it's really inspiring, and it's something that motivates me and something that makes me want to do more. So I'm just really happy to.
We're creating. It feels a little surreal.
It does. I don't understand what we're doing here. Like we're on stage
What?
talking.
Just chitty chat. There's people
What?
that I know that are out there.
People are
Yeah.
eating and looking at
Cameras.
us.
Beautiful.
What's happening?
I'm so proud, and I'm like, I can say that I'm proud to be around those people because you
Yeah.
put work here, and you can see that. You're doing a
And
great
that is
job.
something that I like with people that I've known in my past. Like, I don't want to speak badly about anybody, but one of my a quality about people that sometimes really irks me is people that aren't passionate about something. People that feel that they were born, and because they were born, now the world owes them something. And it's like no one chose to be born. And I love that I'm surrounded by people who love life and who love something
Yes.
so much about life that they care to come and
Share it.
Yeah. And you know, to even talk about it on a podcast, like it's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yeah, I want to thank you so much. You was just a great host this season for me. Every time every time I'm anxious, you're like, me too. I'm like, okay,
We're on
I'm
the
not
same boat.
alone. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much.
Thank
Do you
you.
want
Thanks, guys. I
to?
know. Any
Thank
last
you.
little bits? Time goes really quick up here.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh. That's a
Never
long
asked
one.
you.
You never asked me?
Yeah.
I never answered because I really don't know.
Forever,
We do
forever.
know.
What's your favorite movie right now?
Forever, forever.
Forever, forever. Go watch with that.
Forever, Forever is a Ukrainian feature film that I was playing one of the lead roles that is going to be out next year. This is my favorite film. Okay, well, we want to say
some thanks.
We want to say a lot of actually thanks.
Thanks to everyone who's here tonight. Thanks to everyone who's
Yes,
watching.
thank you so
we
much.
would not have made this live event. We wouldn't still be doing episodes if it wasn't for absolutely everyone. Thank you so much for your support. We do want to.
We took it seriously. We want to thank people. So
Yeah.
give us a
Yeah.
second.
Yeah,
it's going to be a
have
small speech.
pulling up my hands. Yeah, okay, special thank you to Micah Stathis,
Woo!
to Carlye Bowers, Michael Caputo, Charles
Engelsqjerd.
Engelsqjerd, Zach Riis, Miguel Martinez, and everyone else who came to help us put this together.
Yeah, and of course our beautiful team. Well, today Ahmed, Chris, Paula, Pedro, Amit Shilo, Yeva-Mariia. I also want to thank Islam Gimazov, Sharia Chopra, Kaisar Pedro Fassa, Malcom Xavier, Jaylen Stapleton, Jaylen Igor Buga, and a lot of people who are
If
helping
you've
us
ever come and helped,
this whole
thank
season. You were just the best. We created something extremely special. I'm tearing up because internally, will be externally later, because it's something that just makes me happy and smile all the time.
We're
Thank you
creating-
so much. Thank you,
Reminder,
everyone.
please donate if you can. It's only going to make this production better.
Thank you.
And next time, we'll have a lot more food. I don't know. Yeah, thank you. I want to say thank you to Dasha for all of this, for creating this.
Yeah. So donations, thanks.
We're tuning to
and,
season 2! Next
yeah.
semester, season 2, everybody!
So we usually finish our shoot with like clapping at the same time. So if you want to do it with us, I will do it countdown. So 1, 2, 3.